we go. All right, looks like we are recording. All right, obviously, we are here today to talk about report cards, the how-tos of report cards. I am sure that is weighing heavy on everybody's mind. We are almost to the end of the trimester. It ends on Friday. And this is that wonderful time of the year where you have to figure out how to get those report cards ready to go pretty quickly. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. Trimester's ending, perfect timing for that. We have a quick turnover in end of trimester and getting those report cards out to our parents. We have new staff members that have never done this before, and so it's really nice to have that information for you. For those who've done it before, you only do it 3 times a year, and sometimes you're like, I forgot what I had to do last year, and you don't want to make those mistakes that we have all probably done, putting the grade in the wrong spot and it doesn't show, or writing the comment in a section that doesn't show. So all those kind of things just to help make sure that it's smooth and quick for you to get those grades finalized. All right, so with that said, I should have my screen showing for all of you. I'm going to spend time just briefly going through areas, first of all, that you can use to find information, and then I'll spend a little time in the Powerschool to show you what quick things maybe you don't know about that are there, and just run through that as fast as I can. There are videos that are out there also for you to go back and watch, okay? I want you to make sure you know that. So number one, what do we have as resources from tech services to help make this job easier for you? Please remember, all of you should be seeing a tab in your bookmark called Grace Tech Services. And if you click on that tab, it's a tab we forced out to you. Underneath there is our tech services website and our YouTube channel. Those are 2 places you should be going to get information. Okay. First of all, I'm going to take you to the Grace Tech's website. This has been up for almost 2 years now, and we keep adding to it and changing it up and making sure we get things out there that you need. So if there's anything you think that might be missing as you're going through it, please feel free to send in a help desk ticket and say, hey, it'd be really nice if we had this on here. On the left is your menu, and that's where Powerschool is. The information you're going to need to know for grading is going to be there to get you started, but there's also some on our YouTube channel, and it links right there. So when you go to Powerschool, there are a couple of videos that we have done for you to help you. This one, the creating and grading assignments, that was to help at the beginning of the year so you get up and running with your grades. And then there are 2 of them, quick ones here for finalizing grades. Middle school and elementary are different. You need to remember that, especially those of you who are specialists. You have to remember that how you do grading, how you do the finalizing of grades for kindergarten through 4th or 5th grade is different than what you're going to do for your middle school students. So you have to know both techniques. Those of you who are teaching one or the other, you get to only do it one way. That is probably one of the biggest things we hear from those specialists is, oh, I forgot. I did it this way for that group, and I forgot I had to do it a different way for the other group. Along with that, there are some links right here on that page that are going to be really helpful to you. 2 of them are a checklist. One is the elementary checklist. I'm just going to open that up really quick to show you. I'm not going to go through the details, but so you know it's there. I just want you to know the dates on here are probably the dates from last year, but they're only going to be a couple of days off if they are. But don't worry so much about that part. I'll show you how you know what to do with your deadlines, and that's really important you know that from your principal, because we have 9 different schools within our system that do things sometimes a little differently than each other. Our grades report cards might not go home on the same day, or they might not be due to the principals on the same day. So just make sure you're aware of that from your principal. But then it walks you through a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today and that are in the videos, and it's a quick reference for you. So that might be something for those of you like the paper copy, print it out, put it in front of you as you're doing your grades. So there's one for K5, and then there's one for the middle school. So those 2 are important. The next one is the comments. There are hundreds of comments in our comment bank in Powerschool. And it's sometimes hard to go through them. And if you haven't seen those yet, when you're in Powerschool, I'm going to show you real quick later. But there's a lot to go through. And sometimes it's easier to look here ahead of time, like print these out. This is in a spreadsheet. And it goes all the way through them, but what you'll notice is the top ones don't really have a category, but all of a sudden we hit categories like those of you who are music teachers. These are going to be music type comments. When you go through them, you can pick and choose, like maybe highlight the ones that you like and remember the code. If you can remember the code for them, it'll make it easy for you to pick those out as you're doing your grades. Okay, so that's another link that might help you out on the website. This one down here is a report card building expectations. Remember, I just said to you, not all our buildings are identical. They each kind of do things their own way. And of course, I'm going to have it not want to show up. Here we go. I sent out a poll to all of our principals and asked them specific questions that might help you out when it comes to report cards. Things like, which report cards are used for which grade levels? There are 2 report cards that can be used. One's a universal report card, and one is called the middle school report card. So I asked the principals what grade levels, and if you notice, the majority of them are K-5 and 6 to 8, but I highlighted there is a school that does start using the middle school one in 5th grade. So make sure if you're in that building, you know that and you know which one to do. Then what are your expectations for comments on the report cards? Both for the youngers, for that universal report card, and then for that middle school report card. So there's a variety of answers here, everything from just as needed for the teachers to I want at least 1 comment every trimester for a student, or 1 for every subject, or by the homeroom teacher. So this might be helpful reference for you to go back to also. The dates that your report cards are planned to go home. And they go everything from, let's see, November 24th is the most popular one. Then there's the 29th and the December 1st. So not everybody's are going out the same day. And they don't all go out the same way. I asked them who prints your final one. You know now who the person is in your building that prints those out for the final ones, but also there are 2 schools that do electronic. And then I asked them, are there any other tips you have for your teachers? And so maybe reference back to that as you're going through. That's a good thing to look at. And then the final thing here on the website is a link to our YouTube channel. It'll take you right to the YouTube channel. That's one way you can do it. The other way to get to our YouTube channel is that tab again, and that's where our Tech Services YouTube channel will take you to the same place. I have created all of these videos right here under report card tutorials. Instead of putting it in one big one and trying to have you listen, it would have taken probably an hour to get through all of it. And because it is different based on what you're teaching, if you're teaching younger students or if you're teaching older students. So the first couple are pretty short. This one is the one about report cards as far as the building expectations. That's where I showed the spreadsheet and talked about that. So you can go back and reference with that. Then there's what if I'm at the end and I'm like, I don't know if I have a lot of missing assignments or not, and what do I have to do? That explains how to look at that missing assignment report before you start trying to finalize your report cards and find out you have a bunch of things missing from a student. The next one is marking skills for K-5. Skills are only having to be marked for our kindergarten through 5th grade students who are using the universal report card. There are no skills on our middle school report cards. Okay, and then the next one is how to finalize grades and put comments in for K-5. The next one after it is the middle school one. I'm sorry, K-5 teachers, that yours is about double the length. That's because you have to do a little bit more work when it comes to report cards and finalizing grades and adding comments than what the middle school. Your process is a little more complicated that way. And the final video that I did is how to go out and actually look at your report cards once you're done. This is mostly for the homeroom teachers. They're the ones I know who can for sure access that and look at it. And then they can let the specials or other teachers know, hey, I don't see your grades on here yet. Maybe did you do them, or is it that they're not, you didn't put them in the right place? You can talk it through and make sure when that person is ready to print them out, they're not having to do so much work following up with other people. All right, so those videos are there for you to reference and go back to. They are going to give you more detail than what I can do in the 25 minutes we have together today. Just quickly, for those of you who are new or maybe have never really thought about what does the other half look like, report cards. This is the report card that I'm talking about as far as the universal one. This is what it looks like for kindergarten through 5th grade or kindergarten through 4th grade, depending on your building. As I said, their report card's a little more in depth. It has not only a spot for grades, but also all these skills that they have to fill in. So that's where it's taking a little bit longer for the younger grades. And that includes our specials. So specials like art and music and Fayed and all those, there are skills that you have to fill out for those younger students. And that sometimes is what our specials forget, because in middle school, you don't have to do that. Your codes are on here, so you know what those marking codes mean, all that kind of stuff for you. You will notice for kindergarten through 2nd grade, the students receive S's and P's. But once we hit 3rd grade, then they go back to the traditional letter grades. So that helps for those of you who are new also. As far as the middle school report card, this is the middle school report card, much simpler format. Your grades go in for each of the subject areas that are taught. So each teacher who teaches that subject puts the grade in, and a comment goes with it. And that's for each of the trimesters. So a pretty simplified version of that. So those are your report cards. There's videos out there for you, so you can walk through where those things go, how to look at them, all that kind of stuff for you. Let's talk a little bit about Powerschool then, and actually getting into it. As far as what you might see here, does anybody quick have a question about any of the stuff I already covered? I feel like I'm talking really fast. Is anything out there?
Just real quick, the tabs that you're accessing all this, I was trying to find the tab that links to all the videos. I'm trying to figure out where that was.
If you have your bookmark showing, your bookmark bar showing, it should show up. So if you're not seeing this right here, it says Grace Tech Services with a little bit yellow.
I see. Yep.
Okay. So the top one is the Grace Tech Services website.
Yep.
And then this one is your YouTube.
Oh, wait a minute.
Channel.
I'm looking at my side. I'm not looking at you. Okay. Yeah. For some reason, yours is colored. It looks a lot prettier than mine.
Well, it might be the screen I'm looking at. Could be.
Yeah. Whoops. I'm sorry. I have right here. It says Powerschool, Google Classroom, Google Meet, Tech Services YouTube channel. Is that where I want to go?
Yep. That is where you will find those videos that I was showing before.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. You bet. Anyone else? All right, you've been in Powerschool. I sure hope you've been in Powerschool already. It's, we're how far in? We're almost at the end of the trimester. You should have been putting grades in. So you're familiar with this. You know that we have the Powerschool SIS part, which is the student information piece. This is the part you're going to need to be into if you want to look at your report cards before you finalize, after you put all the information, you want to see how they look. So there's a tab right here called Reports. And when you go in, you can pick from the reports, and you will find there are a lot of report card options to choose from. In the video, it tells you which ones specifically, but just to help you out, the Grace Middle School ones are right here. There's 3 different options based on which trimester we're in. So that's pretty easy for middle school teachers to find them if you want to look for them. For the elementary, you have to go down to this universal report card that says the grade, and then after it'll say trimester. So every grade has a trimester after it. So grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But remember, once you get into the middle school, you're not using these. You're using the other version. Kindergarten, if you're wondering where yours are, they're down at the end. The kindergarten one does not come first, even though it seems like it should. It comes after the numbers. All right. So you can watch the video on how to look at that. Beyond that, you are mostly working in the Power Teacher Pro right here, and you can get to it on the left in the navigation bar or underneath each one of your classes. When you do it under classes, it takes you directly to that class. Okay, so you'll start out in, I have a grade 1 math. This is a test group, by the way. These are not real. I put this together so I could create those videos for you. So I'm pretending I'm a 1st grade teacher teaching math. These are my assignments that I'm in. So you know you have all these tabs on the side to look at. Some of them that might be helpful to you at this point of grading that you want to know you have is that you can do your grades, middle school teachers, you can do your grades in 3 different spots. You can use score sheet, traditional, or standards. It'll work for you. But for K-5 teachers or from specialists doing K-5, you have to go under standards to put your grades in. Because once you're in there, the most important piece that most of us forget when we're doing it is that the grade shows up over here because it calculates it for you, but you have to also put it in this first column. If you don't put it here, it will not show up on the report card. It's very, very important that you do that. So that's one of the big pieces that K-5 teachers have to do, or when you're teaching K-5 classes, you have to put a grade in there or it won't show on the report card. And I would say that that's where specialists have the biggest issue because they don't have to do that for middle school, but they do for the elementary. So just remembering that. And then there's also skills for you to fill out. This is where you would find your skills for your subjects. And there's a whole video on how to make those show and do what you need to do for that. You also need to know that you can make comments. Now for elementary, the comments cannot go here. We tried that, doesn't show up on the report card. For elementary, or for middle school, they do, but for elementary, you have to go do that in homeroom. So for elementary teachers, the place to put comments, if you want them to show on the report card, is under homeroom. Big thing to remember. And that's talked about in the videos also. If you notice to see a comment or that you have a comment, it's the little, it looks like a bubble, talking bubble. Okay. When you, yes.
Can you show that? So when you click on that, can you show what it looks like? Okay.
Yes.
And then if you go over to the comments and click on that comment box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once you get your show comment bank.
Yep.
Once you get the comments that you really like, you can star those comments and then they will show up first. So it's much easier to narrow down that list of hundreds of comments into the ones that really fit into your class. And then those will just show up all the time
at the top
of your favorite comments.
Yeah, you can see I have a big long list that is marked as favorites. These aren't mine, it's a sample from someone. Mary's absolutely right. You putting a star next to it, then it puts them up at the top for you. An easier way to put your star here is you can actually look at your comment bank. I gotta remember where it is. Not there. Settings. If you go to settings on the left, comment bank, do you see it right here? When you click on that, it will bring up the whole comment bank in a much larger size that you can go page to page. You have to go to district comments here, not my comments, but district. And you see here are all those starred ones, but if you keep scrolling down, all the rest of them will be underneath. There are Spanish and English version that is new since I think last year or the year before that. Some schools require you to do both, or you do it for certain families, for certain students. So talk to your principal also about that. Do I need to put those Spanish comments in? When you put a Spanish, we ask that you also put the English, because when we put it into our records, we need to be able to read it also, so everybody can read it. But you will notice the Spanish ones all have an SPA in by them. And they start with the same code. So this is the English code and then the Spanish code. These mean the same thing. But what you can do is go through this, and as you're going through, click on the stars to make them your favorites. Okay. So it's a really nice thing to do. And then you can, there's several pages after that to go through. And what you'll notice as you start getting through the pages, do you notice over here on the right side, it tells you what type of a comment it is. And like if I get into number 4 here, there are specific comments for art, for library, there's math. If I go into page 5, I believe it's got math ones, music ones, writing. It does all kinds of them here. Do you see that? So math has a ton of them. So this is a really good place to go in and kind of look and set up the comments that you like the best, or take a note of them and write down their codes so that you can use them with your students.
Okay, now can you go back to the comment bank one more time?
I sure can. Oops. I gotta get back here.
Sometimes when I'm doing comments and I don't want to go to the big list because I'm too lazy to go to the big list, if you do show comment bank and you're like, I know there's a comment about turning in your assignments, you can just put assignment in the filter and then apply, and all of the ones that have assignment in there will show up. Or if you have,
Oh, if they have the word assignment in them. Nice, yeah. Mary. I didn't know that one, Mary.
Yeah. Or if you like anything you want to search for.
Yeah. And I think I just saw a question come through, right, Lynn? Did you see that one come through? It was something about the comments all go in the same place. Yes. For elementary. Yes. So the idea with the elementary is you have your skills that tell your parents a lot of things. So as far as how many comments to put on your report cards, you probably aren't going to put as much because you've answered a lot of it through the skills. But it's nice to have a couple of them. And in the video about putting comments in for K5, it talks about how you have to do it in homeroom. And I'm going to show you, you'll see right here, this is my student John, and this comment is in there for him. I can move to my next student, which is Jane, and you can see the comments that were put in for her. And you notice there's one, I don't know if you can see how it's really little. If a special wants another comment put into the report card for the younger students, they have to send you the code so you can put the comment in, and then you identify who made that comment. And I don't know if you can talk with your principals or as to what is your policy there. Do you use the subject area it came from or the teacher that actually made the comment? So you can ask which way they prefer it to be done. But you're right, all comments for elementary have to go into homeroom. I'm going to show you right here, a 7th grade classroom. It's different for them. So for 7th grade, their comments just go right into their grade calculation right here where you already see their grades and their comments. And what's really nice is they will show up down here once you put them in. If you want to add them, you have to go to the little symbol up in the top. But once they're added, you can see them anytime you flip through here. And again, you can go from student to student. It's a nice thing to have. One of the other things that is talked about in the videos is about actually giving them a grade. And when a grade comes up, it's going to match the percentage, but you as a teacher have the right to override that if you want. So you'll notice these two students right here have the same percentage, but one student has a B- and one has a B. That's because I went in and manually changed that. I can go right in here and change that letter grade for that student because maybe I didn't feel that truly shows what they know or don't know, or I can bump it up. When teachers do that, it's usually that little bump, either a plus or minus difference. If you're looking at giving a much bigger difference than that, I totally recommend you talk to your principal about it first. And you shouldn't be changing every student's grades. Hopefully what you've been giving them for work really is a true, resemblance of what they have learned.
Can I just add to that, that you can tell that it's been changed because of this little triangle here see that little triangle in the box with the B-. And if you want to change it back, then if you go over to the right side and click on that arrow, it'll change it back to what it was originally.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It refreshes it back to what actually matches the percentage.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you, Mary. But again, you want to go in and you think, they deserve a B+ because, oops, do I have to save it before I can I have to get off the box and go back to it to be able to change it. I think he needs a B+ because he just did a little bit better than what his grades might show. and then it'll change. Don't forget also this saving is really important. It will always remind you that you're leaving and you should save, but please don't tell it not to save those grades because you'll be starting all over again. I talk about this final grade status. This is really just about keeping track for you. I know I finished this class already. I don't have to go back and do anything. So you can mark that to let yourself know what you finished. Okay. We already talked about the grading scales are different. If you want to see your grading scales, if you go under settings here, and you go under class grade scales. I'm just going to do this. Here is the district middle school. So then you know what grades go with which percentages. And then there's also the one for primary, which is those S's and P's. So if you yourself just want to know how do they determine that, if you notice there's a big difference between 95 for an S plus and then 77 for the lowest for an S. So quite a big dip there. Just trying to think if I missed anything. Those are really the biggies. The missing assignment piece that I was talking about earlier is under reports. If you want to go here, missing assignment report. That's where you can go in and you can find out what students are missing assignments for which classes of yours. You just set this up the way you want. The video out there explains exactly the different ways of setting this up. And then you run your report to look at.
Can you just go back to the grading for K-5, the final grade entry? There's a little shortcut I want to show you. Like you're probably going to have more than 2 students, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So when you go into the standards, you can click on the column and then click the code that you want to put in. Okay, and if you click on a code and then click fill, it will fill that all the way down to the bottom, and then you can just go in and change the couple of students who don't fit the norm. If you have satisfactory for most of your students and you just want to change a couple. Yes. So it's a little time saver.
Definitely. And be careful, you want to do the up and down one. The cross one is going to give the same student that. So I guess if you think a student is all satisfactory, you could do that for all their skills. But you usually are going to use the up and down fill. Good point, Mary. Thank you.
I do that sometimes in my grading too. If I did a little classroom thing and almost everybody got a 5, I fill with the 5 and then just change the ones I need to change.
Mm-hmm. That's helpful. Yep, I agree. Especially when you have a class of 20, 30 kids. That makes a big difference for you. So we spent a lot of time talking about how the elementaries is different and more involved. Really for middle school, it's about going in and like I said, you can really put your grade, check your grades either in score sheet standards or traditional. I usually do traditional because I don't have to do any skills with them. So this is where you go in and you just click in there, and if you want to adjust a grade, you adjust it. If you want to add a comment, you go up here. Boom, you're done.
Carrie, can you show again how to get to the standards for K-5? How to get to that final grading screen.
Skills.
Yeah.
So if I'm in math class for first grade, I go to grading and standards. You want to fill yours in through standards. This then is your letter grade. You have to put it over in this column. This is going to be blank when you go in. You have to put it here. So make sure these two match. And that's really important. I want to make sure I tell you that too, because Teresa was telling me this. If you decide to change a student's letter grade, make sure that it matches in both columns. I think, did I tell you that earlier? Or otherwise GPA won't look right. So we want to make sure we have the right thing in there. But then each of these, when you hover over them, will tell you what the actual skill is. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And and don't forget, if you see a blue with an arrow, that means you're not done. There's more of them. So there's more here. And then along with doing the skills for the classes, maybe I should just jump over and look at a report card again for you. Not only do you have to mark these skills for all the classes, but you have 2 extra sections called personal and social growth and work and study skills. that are separate skills that you have to go and fill out. Now, in order to find those easily, we've made it easy for you. You should have under your classes a personal growth and a work and study skill class. So you're going to go into that personal growth class. It is not going to have any assignments because you didn't give any assignments. So if you happen to be in your assignment list, it's going to look like this. You're going to be like, well, what am I supposed to do? You go to your grading and go to standards. When you do that, the skills will show up here. And you notice I started filling in my skills here. Do I need to put a letter grade? No. Do I have to fill in this spot? No, because there's no grade that goes with those. I have to just fill in all of these standards along the way. So this demonstrates self-discipline. So I have to, again, click on it to decide satisfactory. If all my kids are satisfactory, fill down, say okay, and all of them will change. And don't forget, the blue box with the arrow means there's another one.
Right.
Okay? So that's really important. And then you make sure you save always, because if you try to go, let me try to just switch to see how I'm trying to switch to work and study skills. It's saying you have unsaved changes. Make sure you save them before you go there.
Teresa added, Carrie, that kindergarten only has one skill class. They don't have work, study, and personal growth. They just have one.
Good, thank you. And that's something good to let you know. Not all of the skills are the same in each grade level. So kindergarten through fifth, their report cards are just a little different as to what their skills are. So you might be talking to a friend who's teaching second grade and you're teaching kindergarten. You're like, your skills don't even match mine. Nope, they're not supposed to. Okay.
I'm always super happy that I'm a middle school teacher when it comes to the end of report cards.
Yes. Yeah. But the other side of it is that middle school teachers usually are entering a lot more grades throughout the semester because they're doing a lot more assignments with their kids probably than what you are in elementary. So kind of balances maybe a little. That's all I think I have. Does anybody else have any? Let me just look at my comments here. And Lynn's been answering questions along the way. Thank you so much, Lynn, for doing that. Does anybody have one they want to bring up that's not in the comment section? I know we're a little past, so I don't want to hold you. Please remember, go to either the Grace Tech Services website or our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is where I'm going to direct people who were not here tonight. Go out there and there's your 6 videos that you can watch. What's really nice is take it step by step. You know, watch one, do whatever you need to for that one, and then move to the next one. You don't have to watch it all at once. Okay? If you have any questions, you're always welcome to email one of us, send it into the help desk, and we will help you through that. I hope this was helpful for you. I know that report card time is coming, and it's a very stressful time because you got a lot to do besides teaching and getting ready for Thanksgiving and all that fun stuff. So good luck to you. Please let us know if you need anything else. All right. Have a great night. You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.